Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Phil Boycell, aka Rusty Shackelford, here today, and I'm gonna try to film this outside today to see if the lighting is better. Every time I try to film this inside, the lighting pulsates. And that's got to be super annoying. So hopefully this works out better, and hopefully it won't be too distracting for other people working nearby. Hopefully they won't be too distracting to me. So today we're going to talk briefly about my BCM Air VFC replica. VFC Vega Force, yeah. So I got this replica back at the end of 2022. I think this is the first generation model. Let's just go over the basic internals really quick. Like I said, it's the original model. This model is still available for $399 on eBike. You have to buy your batteries and accessories separate. So it has the Avalon version 2 full metal and fully upgradable gearbox as a generic inline MOSFET. This is the pre-Titan era. It has the VFC Gen 2 hop-up and bucking. And of course, this one does not come with a Dean's connector, and it's a little murky if the newer generations come with a Dean connector. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the externals. So because this is the Bravo Company licensed AEG, it's sporting Bravo Company's accessories except for my buttstock and buffer tube, which is going to actually segue into my only complaint about this guy so far, and that is that the buttstocks on the original generations, at least, had a very weak pivot right here that was connected. That broke, and I didn't have a cover for my buttstock and my battery. So I had a G&G combat machine that was kind of going the way of the dodo. I unfortunately scrapped the internals, even though I could have built something else out of it. I just have no room or time in my life or shop for projects right now. So I took the buttstock off of that, spray painted it, and threw it on here. And the cheek pieces are the perfect size for the recommended lipos. I can't remember what lipo it takes. You could find that on the website. So I would recommend looking into your buttstocks. If you got the newer ones, if they're solid, that's great. If not, think about getting a replacement buttstock. While we're talking about the buttstock, let's talk about the buffer tube. Buffer tube, and actually I do have two complaints about this. They have a QD attachment point that does not accommodate most of the QD plugs that I try to plug into that cup. I have not found a QD plug mash button. I don't know what the hell they're called right now. Sorry guys. I've spent so much time in this whole tactical Google guy gear world that I can't remember the names of basic stuff sometimes, but that's another thing you have to replace if you get one of these, and if the new generation models aren't accommodating for that. So it's kind of good that the screw on the buttstock or the buffer tube's loose anyways, because then you can take it off, put it back on easily, but you still have, I'm pretty consistently tightening that up. And even though I've only used this for target practice and for the little, I don't even, they call it CQB, but it's not the right nomenclature. The little footwork you get in and out, we called it mount, M-O-U-T, mount, to getting in and out of rooms and stuff. I do little drills with this thing, but because I'm a Marine, because I'm so rough on my stuff, I crank on this thing like it's a real gun when I have it in my shoulder. And I was going to take this off for you and show you, but I am at the point now where my barrel and handguard assembly is starting to move about a half an inch, not quite half an inch of play in there. So I'm going to get a hold of VFC and Evike today and ask them how they think I should go about fixing that. And I'm getting into the point where techs, they deserve every penny they make. The techs at Evike, they've showed videos. They could actually not just repair your guns, but they could do some really cool upgrades. And they deserve every penny that they get. But getting tech services is still really expensive. I'm not going to get into details, but it was going to cost as much as getting a whole nother Elite Force Glock pistol for the price it was going to cost to repair mine. So I am going to learn how to tech my own stuff, and maybe I can do up your guys' guns too in the future if you like what you see on my Instagram and on my YouTube. So is that it for externals? I think we could call externals done. What are we going to talk about next? Let's talk about the accessories. Full disclosure, Copycat EOTech. I'm going to rip that off for a generic, nondescript a T1 micro clone that doesn't actually look like a T1 micro or have aim point markings. And eventually I'm just going to have everything red dot, and that's going to go through a progression of hollow suns, then to vortexes, and then to aim points. That's how that life's going to go. So let's talk about the PEC. For one, unzeroable. I could crank on these little knobs as much as I want. I cannot put that laser anywhere near where the BB flies. You know what? Let's take a brief break so Rusty can rehydrate just briefly. So the PEC is here for weird reasons. Actually, not weird reasons. So the PEC, I'm kind of leaning towards what eHouse at Gun Gamers said about lasers and eye safety and airsoft. I think we should be using lasers as little as possible if there's a possibility that somebody's eyesight might be damaged, especially irrevocably. So on the other hand, I did see a really cool video by Alphonse recently where he was playing with a Green Beret, and a Green Beret watched a guy try to pie off an entryway too fast, and he got gotten. And so he was telling him, hey, think of this laser as like your governor. So you do your practice, you got a room that you want to look inside of, turn your laser on and use that laser to kind of designate where your AEG is going to be aiming, or where, I'm sorry, it's not AEG for everybody, obviously, where your long gun's going to be aiming, and it'll inform you if you're going too fast. Because if you could see a bunch of the room, but you're only pointing your gun at this point in the room, that means everybody beyond that point, you get gotten by. So I kind of use this as a tool. It's my governor, it's my speedometer, it's my monitor to make sure I'm not trying to load up my plate with more than I can chew. So that's why that's on there, and I'm not against taking it off during airsoft games if it means somebody's eyesight could be safe. So that's first thing I want to talk about. This is point blank zero, coming back to the optic. I have zeroed it for a point blank zero for obvious reasons, but I have no insurance in these being really accurate. Admittedly, they're more for looks. And while we're talking about for looks, so this is the dorkiest thing ever, but my attitude is an airsoft gun already makes a pew pew sound to begin with, so I put a fake silencer on it to just like make the dream work. I have debated getting a tracer unit, but I'm noticing tracer units, there's no QD tracer units yet, or at least not that I'm seeing, where you could just take off the tracer, or basically I don't want to have to unthread what's threaded to my barrel just to charge something, because I want something kind of sort of permanently fixed to my barrel because I don't want to lose it on the field. So I'm deeply debating with myself right now, but leaning kind of sort of against getting a tracer unit. The only reason I want a tracer unit because I want to take my magazines and load the first 5 BBs with glow-in-the-dark BBs and the rest with regular, so then I could indicate to myself when I'm running out of BBs out of that magazine and then change magazines. But that's not a super crucial thing, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. Flashlight woes. Okay, I hate to slam Surefire. Surefire, I love everything by Surefire except for the dual fuel flashlight, and here's why. One, the only battery it really works with is its rechargeable battery, and you have to recharge it once a week, which isn't a huge deal because then you have a battery continuously. You don't have to go buy more batteries, but it's super weak and it does not play well with tape switches, especially the mod light mod button, which I have here. I tried it for a long time. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. So that one got its original press cap, and it's like a slightly press for momentary on and off, but a firm press for continuous on and off. And you could unscrew it quite a bit so you don't hit it on accident. So it's really cool for those reasons, but it's not really. I don't really like having it on my guns, and I wouldn't have it on my actual real AR-15 if I tape switched it up because it wouldn't work. So I'm debating. So actually, let me just talk about what I have here. This is a Streamlight ProTac rail mount 2. It comes with a Picatinny mount, but you can take the Picatinny mount off and put it on an M-LOK mount. And I have the Arasaka mount here. So it traipses over my fake suppressor a little bit. And of course, it's ran into this mod button via a Arasaka adapter tail cap. So those are really easy to find. Just look up ProTac rail mount to Arasaka Surefire cap, and you'll find it. And that's the basics of that. So at this point, I'm debating if my AR-15 will get another version of this, or if I'll try to make that Surefire work. But honestly, I'm so sick of that Surefire dual fuel. I'm almost rather just going to go with this, because as sad as to say, this Streamlight setup is more reliable than that Surefire is. That's just brass tacks. That's what it's boiling down to. And in the future, I might not want to get Surefires. I might lean towards Arasakas or Mob Lights or something that I could trust now. I used to, you guys know I'm one of James Yeager's disciples, and I used to say you should only trust your life to Surefire, and I'm getting a lot of mileage out of my 300 that goes on my Glocks, but the dual fuel Scout should be avoided like the Black Plague. They're terrible. I could go on ad nauseum about my woes with that flashlight and how big of a failure it was or is, but I think we got to move on. It's other than that, I think I've covered all the bases so far. I'm about to start playing with it this summer. Because it's already starting to show the wear and tear that it is, I might get the newer 8-inch one as a backup, or get that newer 8-inch one and think of it as a primary, and this is a backup, and work on repairing this. But that's the rundown. I don't see a lot of people making a lot of videos about these, so I wanted to tell you guys about at least the original generation model. So thanks again, and you guys have a great day.